What if every tragedy, every blessing, every heartbreak, every prayer was already decided by God? Did God choose the moment you were born? Did He plan every war, every disease, every betrayal? Or do humans actually have real freedom? And if God controls everything, then why does evil even exist? Tonight, we're exploring one of the most difficult and emotionally charged questions in all of Christianity. Does God control everything? Welcome back to Sacred Questions, the channel where we explore the hardest questions about God, faith, the Bible, doubt, and truth with honesty and respect. This question has divided Christians, theologians, philosophers, and ordinary believers for centuries. Some people believe God controls absolutely every detail of reality, every atom, every decision, every moment in history. Others believe God allows genuine human freedom, meaning not everything that happens is directly caused by Him. And honestly, both views raise difficult questions, because if God controls everything, how do we explain evil? But if He doesn't, then is He truly all-powerful? Let's explore this carefully. When people argue that God controls all things, they usually point to verses like these. Romans 8:28 says, "In all things God works for the good of those who love Him." Ephesians 1:11 says God works all things according to the counsel of His will. And Proverbs 16:9 says, "A man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps." These verses sound incredibly strong, not partially in control, not mostly in control, but completely sovereign. Throughout the Bible, God raises kings and removes them. He parts seas, stops storms, predicts the future, controls nations. Even Jesus says not a single sparrow falls to the ground apart from the Father's knowledge. So for many Christians, the conclusion feels unavoidable. God is not reacting to history. He is governing it. This view is often associated with traditions like Calvinism. According to this perspective, nothing happens outside of God's ultimate plan, not even suffering. And for some believers, this is deeply comforting because it means life is not random. Pain is not meaningless. History is not out of control. Even when things look chaotic, God still reigns. But this raises an immediate emotional problem. If God controls everything, then what about evil? This is where the conversation becomes deeply personal, because we're no longer talking about abstract theology. We're talking about real suffering, children dying, wars, abuse, disease, natural disasters, human cruelty. If God controls everything, did He will those things to happen? That question has shaken the faith of many people. Some atheists argue this is one of the strongest arguments against Christianity altogether. Because how could an all-good God intentionally ordain terrible suffering? Christians have responded in different ways. Some say God allows evil temporarily, in order to bring about a greater good we cannot yet understand. Others point to the story of Joseph in Genesis, after being betrayed and sold into slavery. Joseph eventually says, "You intended evil against me, but God intended it for good." Notice the tension there. Human beings committed evil freely, yet somehow God still brought good through it. That idea becomes central to many Christian explanations. God may permit evil without being evil Himself. But even that leaves difficult questions unanswered. If God could stop suffering, why didn't He? And honestly, the Bible itself does not always give simple answers. The book of Job is a perfect example. Job suffers terribly. But when God finally responds, He doesn't fully explain the suffering. Instead, He reminds Job how limited human understanding really is, and that can feel frustrating. This brings us to another major perspective. What if God does not directly control every human choice? What if He created people with genuine freedom? After all, the Bible constantly calls humans to choose. Choose obedience. Choose love. Joshua famously says, "Choose this day whom you will serve." That sounds like real responsibility. Many Christians argue that love itself requires freedom, because forced love is not actually love. If humans can love God, they must also be capable of rejecting Him. And that means some evil exists because humans misuse freedom, not because God desires evil. In this view, God is sovereign because He is powerful enough to accomplish His purposes, even while allowing freedom. Maybe God's greatness is not proven by controlling every choice, but by working through human freedom. Still, this raises another difficult question. If humans have freedom, does that mean God's plan can fail? Can humans resist His will? Christians disagree strongly about this, and the debate has lasted for centuries. At the heart of this issue is a tension between two ideas. God is sovereign, humans are responsible. The challenge is figuring out how both can be true at the same time. Philosophers have proposed many ideas. Some argue God exists outside time and already knows every choice humans will make without causing them. Others suggest God voluntarily limits certain forms of control to allow authentic relationships. Still others believe both are true simultaneously, even if human logic struggles to reconcile them. And maybe that's important, because Christianity has always contained mystery, the Trinity, grace, mystery. So perhaps the relationship between God's control and freedom is also beyond complete human comprehension. But that answer can feel unsatisfying, especially for people suffering deeply right now. Because when pain enters our lives, this question suddenly becomes very real. Did God want this? Did He allow it? Could He have stopped it? And where is He in the middle of it? Maybe the most important question is not simply whether God controls everything. Can God be trusted? Throughout the Bible, faith is rarely presented as having every answer. Even heroes wrestled with doubt. David cried out asking why God seemed distant. Habakkuk questioned injustice. Jeremiah questioned suffering. Even Jesus on the cross cried, my God, why have you forsaken me?" The Bible does not hide struggle, because sometimes Christians feel pressured to pretend. But honest faith often includes wrestling, waiting, searching. Maybe the Christian claim is that God can still be trusted despite limited human understanding. For believers, the cross becomes central. Christianity teaches that God did not remain distant. He entered it, experienced it, and suffered alongside humanity. That changes the emotional meaning. It doesn't erase every question, but it changes the meaning of suffering entirely. So, does God control everything? Christians answer that question differently. Some say yes, some say freedom. But nearly all agree God is not absent, and history is not meaningless. Christianity points toward a God involved. Whether through sovereignty, freedom, or mystery, God is still involved, even in chaos, even in doubt. Because underneath theology is a human desire to know, are we alone, or is someone holding it all together? What do you think? Does God control everything? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Subscribe to Sacred Questions and join us for the next exploration. Until next time, keep asking sacred questions.